So I'm going to talk to you about stability from the ground up when you're squatting, lunging, doing performance work in the gym. And there's a few cues that some of our members have heard elsewhere when they're coming in for the very first time. We're talking about creating stability from the ground up. And one of the common cues that's out there is drive back into your heels, get the weight back into your heels all the time. And this is a really common cue, and I understand where it's come from, because generally speaking, the average Joe with not too much body awareness more than likely tend to squat and drive the weight forward into their knees and onto their toes. So they might squat something like this, the heels lifting up. So then they're given the cue, get weight into your heels, get weight into your heels. The problem with that is it can get misinterpreted. I've also heard the cue, squat and be able to, if you can wiggle your toes, that's where we want you to squat. So if you're standing in a squat position, make sure you can wiggle your toes, okay? The reason I don't like either of these two cues is it doesn't explain the whole picture to the client. And what we need to do is create stability from the ground up. And in order to do that, we need 3 points: the big toe, the little toe, and the heel. So if you wiggle your toes, you're taking out two of your three main points of contact there and decreasing your stability. Not only that is you require those 3 points of contact to create tension and torque in the body as we do this. So what we need to do is to create an arch in our foot. We need to drive and externally rotate through the hips to create a nice arch. So if I plant my foot on the ground and drive out, I can increase the arch of my foot, increase the stability of where I'm driving out from, and that shouldn't move when I load it up. If I'm wiggling my toes, it's really pretty much impossible, or if I've got all the weight in my heel, impossible to drive and create that arch and stability. The second reason I don't like this cue is because without that, or if you're putting all the weight in your heel, basically there's a quad dominance and hamstring and glute dominance, okay? And in basic terms, if you've got more weight in your heel, you tend to be firing off the hamstring and glute a bit harder. If you're on your toes, you tend to be working on your quads a little bit harder. So if we put more weight on one or the other, we're turning on or off certain muscles. So it makes sense to me when you're squatting to create that stability for number one, by driving, externally rotating, creating your arch. And two, turn on the most amount of muscle possible to increase the stability and strength for when you're squatting, lunging, or whatever your movement may be. So just keep that in mind, guys. Always have 3 points of contact. Pretend you're screwing your feet into the ground. So if I plant my right foot, I'd screw clockwise, left foot, screw anti-clockwise. Be careful not to drive out and lose contact of the big toe. Keep it planted and drive out, maintaining that contact. Once you've done that, balance through the forefoot and the heel and find the center. That's where you're going to be strongest and most stable for your lifts. So that's why if you've done a clean or a snatch at a fast pace and you land too far in your toes or heels, the squat rising out of it tends to feel a bit iffy. It all comes down to how your weight is balanced in your foot. So I hope that helps clean that cue up for you and what you may have been taught in the past, and teaches you how to create a little bit more stability and strength for your squats and movements in the future. Thanks, guys.